Hi, fourth graders. Today we're talking about Investigation 10, which is about probability. Starts on page 636. So as we go through this, you can read and follow along and pause and answer questions as we go. Okay, so here we go. Many games involve chance. When you spin a spinner, roll the number cube, or draw a card from a deck, you cannot know the outcome of the event ahead of time. You don't know when you draw a card from a deck of cards what card you're going to draw before you do it. You don't know what number you're going to spin if you're rolling a dice. You don't know which number is going to pop up. So that's a chance that it might be one outcome that you want, or a chance that it won't be an outcome you want. However, you can find out how likely an outcome may be. The degree of likelihood is called its probability. So am I more likely to draw hearts from a deck of cards, or am I more likely to draw a diamond? What are the probability of me drawing a card I want? The likelihood of it happening. Okay, continuing. Here we have a spinner. We can see that the face is divided into 6 equal parts, and each of those parts is called a sector. Each sector is 1/6 of the face, so this is the face of the spinner, and each of these sections is 1/6. Spinning the arrow means that it can point to any of the sectors equally, and the letter that names the sector where the arrow lands is the outcome of the spin. Okay, so we're going to assume that the arrow will not land directly on a line. It's going to land on one of the parts. So I'm just going to do a couple of examples. Okay, so I landed on B this time. Now notice that I have 2 possibilities of landing on B. Okay. Okay, this time it landed on A. And notice I have 3 sections that are A, so the probability of it landing on A is greater than the probability of it landing on B. One more time. Okay, it landed on A again. That was a pretty slow spin, so I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, that was equally slow. There we go. All right, so it landed on A again. All right, now let's go through and look at these questions 1 through 7. If the arrow is spun once, what are the outcomes? What outcomes are possible? So what are the possibilities of choices it's going to land on? Okay, go ahead and write that down. About what choices you can land on. 2, which letter is the arrow most likely to stop on and why? So which of these choices here is it most likely to land on if I just spin it one time, and why? 3, write the possible outcome of a spin in order from least likely to most likely. So what is the least likely number or letter it is to land on to the most likely number or letter, sorry. Number 4, which outcome of a spin is twice as likely as the outcome C? So I only have this many C's. Which one has 2 times that number? 5, if the arrow is spun many times, then about half of the outcomes are likely to be which sector? Half of the outcomes. 6, if the arrow is spun many times, then what fraction of the spins are likely to stop at sector C? What fraction for sector C? And number 7, in 60 spins, about how many times would we expect it to stop at sector C? About 6 times, about 10 times, about 20 times, about 30 times. Okay, you can go ahead and pause the video if you haven't finished answering numbers 1 through 7, answer them, and then go ahead and redo it and finish. Okay, the probability of an outcome can be expressed as a number ranging from 0 to 1. An outcome that cannot happen has a probability of 0. So if I said, what is the probability of rolling or spinning a letter D? Well, that'd be 0 because D is not a choice on the spinner. An outcome that is certain to happen has a probability of 1. So it is certain that I'm going to land on the letters A, B, or C. It's certain because those are the only choices I have. An outcome that could happen, but is not certain to happen, is expressed as a fraction between 0 and 1. So I am likely to land on A because there are 3 out of the 6 choices being A, so 3/6 would be my probability, my fraction for A. For B, I have 2 sectors that are B, so 2 out of 6, so 2/6. And then C, there's 1 sector for C, so my probability would be what? Okay, let's look at questions 8. What is the probability that the arrow will stop on sector D? Y. What is number 9? What is the probability that the outcome will be one of the first 3 letters of the alphabet? Y. So think 0 to 1 or a fraction in between. And number 10, what is the probability that the arrow will stop at sector C? Go ahead and write your fraction answer for that. Okay, the next set of questions says look at the dot cube to the right. So I have a dot cube here, and if you think about a face of a dot cube, one of the faces would be 1, 3, 5. Okay, so I could roll a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5, or a 6. So those would be the faces on the dot cube. Okay, let's look at the questions. What are the numbers represented by the dots on the faces of a dot cube? Okay, well, go ahead and write down the numbers that you could roll that would be represented by the dots. Number 12, if a dot cube is rolled once, what number is most likely to end up on top? Y. So if I roll it one time, what number am I probably going to get? So think about that. Is there a number on a dot cube that's more likely than any of the other numbers? Yes or no, and then explain why. 13. If a dot cube is rolled many times, about how often would we expect to roll a number greater than 3? So think about how many numbers on your dot cube are greater than the number 3, bigger than 3. Would your best choice be A, less than half the time, B, about half the time, C, more than half the time, or D, none of the time? So really the probability of you rolling something greater than 3. Less than half, about half, more than half, or none. So 4, 5, or 6. Number 14. If the dot cube is rolled once, what is the probability of rolling a 7? Okay, think about your dot cube. What are the odds of me rolling a 7 with a dot cube? Write that down. The probability is it going to be able to happen? Or certain to happen? Or not going to happen? Number 15. With one roll of a dot cube, what is the probability of rolling a 1? Okay, so think of how many faces have 1 out of the 6. 16. How would you describe the likelihood of rolling a 6 with one roll of the dot cube? A, very likely, so if I roll a dot cube, I'm probably going to land on 6. B, just as likely to roll a 6 as to not roll a 6, so equal. I have equal odds of rolling a 6 and equal of not rolling a 6. Unlikely, so I'm unlikely to get a 6 of all the choices I could get, or it's certain, I'm definitely going to get a 6. Well, let's see. Did I get a 6? No, so it's definitely not certain. I would say that it would be unlikely to happen because I have 1 out of the 6 chances to roll a 6 and 5 out of the 6 chances to roll anything else. So if you haven't answered numbers 8 through 16, go ahead and do that. Pause the video and then you can continue. The chance of an event is sometimes expressed as a percent from 0 to 100%. For example, if a meteorologist forecasts that a chance of rain is 20%, then the meteorologist is stating that it might rain, but it is more likely not to rain. A forecast of 100% chance of rain means that the meteorologist believes it is certain to rain. Okay, so looking at number 17, the weather forecast stated that the chance of rain is 40%. According to the forecast, is it more likely to rain or not to rain? So if it's 40% to rain, is it more likely to rain or not? And 18, if the meteorologist said that the chance of rain is 80%, this means that the chance of it will not rain is 1%. Well, we know the total has to equal 100%. If it's an 80% chance of rain, what percent chance that it's not rain? Okay, so answer the questions 1 through 18. You can either use notebook or a regular homework page. Then you need to complete lesson activity 47. And in order to, which looks like this, and in order to complete that, you will need a dice. And then you're going to keep track. Okay, first make your predictions. What I have, these are my choices. I can roll a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Okay, I'm rolling 36 times. So of that 36 times, how many times do you think I'm going to roll a 1? How many times do you think you're going to roll a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6? Okay, so make your predictions first, then start rolling. Okay, so here's your dice, roll it. Okay, my first one was a 1. So then on your paper, you're going to go take a pencil and tally mark 1 tally for 1. Okay, whoops. Roll again. Okay, this time it was a 4. So now go to your paper and under 4, you're going to make a tally for 4. Okay, and then continue keeping track for 36 times. Okay, this time I had a 5. So I'm going to go and tally under 5. Okay, so once you get 36 tally marks in this section total, okay, you can figure out, well, how many 1s did I get? Okay, maybe you got 5. How many 2s did you roll? Maybe you have 10. Okay, maybe how many 3s did you roll? Maybe you only rolled 1 3. All right, and see how many times you actually rolled each of the numbers on your dice if you roll for 36 times. Now, the outcome should be equal in theory, right? We can think that it's all going to work out equally because the chances of me rolling each are equal. But that very rarely happens. You'll find that most of the time it's one number is higher than other numbers. Okay, so go ahead and once you're finished with the activity, this page and the questions 1 through 18 can be submitted for your assignment for the week.